Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over Tesla stock. Let's go over the market. Let's talk about what is happening to Tesla stock, what we can expect moving forward into what is going to be most likely a pretty eventful night with the Robotaxi event, the We Robot event. I'm very excited for it. Again, regardless of what the stock does, regardless if it moons or tanks and crashes, whatever. All I'm saying is the fact that overall the future for the company is very bright. And I'm very excited for the event, and I cannot wait to see what's going to be shown personally. Now, with that being said, we're obviously here to talk about the stocks. So, as usual, if you enjoy, don't forget to hit that like button. This is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. And of course, my membership section on YouTube is live. That link is down below for just $2.99 a month. You get access to all my intraday thoughts, posts, updates on Tesla, and sometimes other stocks as well. I did share a new trade I was entering today. So I'm starting to share other trades. I don't actually literally share my specific trade I'm in, but I do share stocks I'm eyeballing. There's only one stock I'm actually trading right now. I'll be honest. There's only one stock I'm currently holding on my main accounts. My smaller account is, has Tesla and everything that I'm not touching. My trading account, I'm only holding one stock, which I shared today. So again, that's in my members section if you're interested. Or for $5 a month, you get access to all of that, plus NVIDIA daily updates. But let's just jump into it. Tesla closing the day down. We'll just say pretty much down 1%. Closing at just under $239 per share, which unfortunately compared to the market is going to be a slight underperformance. Nothing completely out of this world, but definitely a slight underperformance. But yeah, there are definitely some red flags here. Right now, again, I want to make something very clear. This Robotaxi event coming up is like a mini earnings, because if you go over to this right here, you can see that the options chain at the moment, literally for tomorrow, this is pretty much a mini earnings, because the options chain and the market's currently expecting about a 6% move on Tesla to as high as the low 250s to as low as the mid-ish 220s, right? That's currently what options is pricing in. I'm currently not in a trade. I'm not gonna lie, I'm getting really tempted to buy after hours, at least just something like a flyer, at least something, so I have something. In case it does rocket, at least I'll have some on my trading account, right? Again, I have my long-term account, but something on my trading account. I'm still not sure. I'm gonna decide in a couple hours probably, but market's pricing in a large move. That's why I want to make this very clear that, despite technical analysis, it's not as accurate when it comes to massive events like this that can have a potentially massive gap up or a massive gap down, right? We can make our best guess here based on what's given to us, but I just want to make that really clear that, again, with earnings or major catalysts like this, take it as you will, because the stock, at least short term, it can do pretty unexpected things, especially one like Tesla. So just, take that for what it's worth, right? But let's talk about it. So again, the way I look at it is, we fell out of the channel. I mean, there's really no other way to put it. We fell out of the channel. We're down below the channel. We officially closed the daily candle below the channel, not only on the linear chart, but especially on the logarithmic chart, right? We're definitely well below the channel on the logarithmic chart. In fact, on the log chart, we pretty much went up to the channel on the daily and actually retested it as resistance. So the log chart is a lot less forgiving when it comes to this channel. The linear chart was much more forgiving, and we actually did push back up into the channel, but we ended up actually pretty much selling off towards the last part of the day. You can see here on the 3-minute chart, we pretty much just sold off towards the end of the day. Pretty decent volume increase on the sell-off as well, and we closed below 240s and below the channel. Officially, this is an official daily closure below. Now, of course, this could still be a bear trap. This could be a false breakdown. Always a possibility. But like I always say as well, I never assume it's a false breakdown or a breakout until proven otherwise. So as of right now, I'm gonna assume it's an actual breakdown, and this is a bearish breakdown. And the best case tomorrow is maybe we come back up to retest this, in the low 240s one more time, maybe. But ultimately, this is pretty bearish. Now, we did obviously sell off pretty aggressively in the morning. We came right down all the way to about the 232 level, which I actually warned my members about, because right in the morning, there was actually a very large amount of extremely, literally 1 day to expire. We're here, 6 hours in the morning. Holy shit, insanely aggressive puts hitting Tesla this morning worth several millions expiring tomorrow. And that was right before Tesla pretty much tanked in the morning, right on this little sell-off right here. Pretty much from 242 all the way down to $10 sell-off. That's pretty insane, right? So a lot of money and a lot of volume came in on that sell-off, which is a little bit concerning. And then we pretty much consolidated. We, had a nice little bounce up, and the 1 hour just kind of, had time to reset. This very oversold conditions had time to reset. And now we're pretty much back at more or less square one, right? So again, the daily, we closed below. That's not good, right? The levels to below, I mean, I still think, the 230s, like mid to low 230s is still going to act as a support. That should be, in theory, a pretty powerful support. But I will admit that if we start losing the low 230s and we start entering the 220s, despite there being support there, despite I still think we'll have, bounces and whatnot, we're not going to just completely crash. this is definitely starting to get some signs of concern unless we get a massive gap up back into the channel tomorrow, which is a possibility as well. Very 50-50 here in my opinion. Well, maybe not 50-50 anymore. I would definitely say it's like 60-40 leaning bearish, but it's not completely unheard of to gap up into the channel tomorrow off of the Robotaxi event. That's technically a possibility. So we'll see if that actually plays out or not, right? But on the downside, 235 to 232 is the major support level, because that was, of course, the major resistance level before we had this ascending triangle breakout right here, here, and here, right? And now we're pretty much retesting it once again as support. Pretty standard stuff. Got a decent bounce off of it, but not enough to close back in the channel. That's concerning. So if we break below this, right, this is where Tesla, in my opinion, really gets even more bearish, right? Losing the 230s will get even more bearish, because this old area that was massive support or resistance now should be support, which so far it is. Even if that even fails as well, Tesla's will be very, very weak, right? And that's going to be a bit of a concern, because if that happens, honestly, even off of this breakdown alone, assuming we don't get a massive gap up after the Robotaxi event tomorrow, assuming we don't gap up back into the channel, Tesla is bearish here, in my opinion. Like, this is a bearish confirmation breaking below this channel, right? So what this tells me is the fact that, honestly, I think we're seeing lower 200s. Like, I really think that at some point, maybe later this month, maybe in November, I don't know when, but we can definitely see lower 200s. So you can see the Fibonacci, we take that swing low back here to the swing high that we had recently. The first level of the Fibonacci 382 level is actually exactly where we bounced off of, 233 roughly, right? Beautiful bounce. But I would be surprised if we don't go lower, especially off this channel breakdown, to at least 223. But honestly, I'm personally eyeballing somewhere between the 220s to as low as the 210s. Like, somewhere in that region is where I'm personally eyeballing, which also actually lines up pretty well with the 100 EMA, which is this yellow line. One thing I'm noticing as well is a lot of the Max 7 stocks, especially ones that move a little bit slower, but nonetheless, most of the Max 7 stocks tend to respect this 100 EMA pretty damn well. And that's where it's currently sitting at for Tesla. So you can see, for instance, right, let's take away the Fibonacci. By the way, those are the levels to look out for. Also, by the way, if we ever lose 200, we go below the 786 Fibonacci, we're probably coming back down well into the 170s, potentially as low as the 150s. So that's just, FYI, I guess. But the 100 EMA, you can see this yellow line, right? You can see, like, for instance, back here, many times it got rejected. It had a bit of a false breakout here. Obviously, there's always exceptions. There's nothing that's perfect. But you can see the resistance that it provided pretty much throughout here until it finally ended up actually dancing right on it, as opposed to just getting rejected and falling lower, and then ultimately went up higher. Same idea here. It gapped down below it, turned into a resistance, finally went above it, and we went decently higher, came back, retested it as support, and then ultimately went higher. And now, obviously, we can potentially make our way back down once again and retest it once again. Currently, it's sitting at about the very low 220s. That's going to be my main target, and which actually lines up with what the options market is expecting. Again, the options market is expecting a 6% move right now off of this Robotaxi event, average-ish, right? Could be more, could be less, who knows? But that's what it's pricing in. Again, the lower bound range of that is the mid 200s. So that's kind of, lines up decently well with where the 100 EMA is as well. So that'll be my main target, at least short term, if the Robotaxi event happens to be a, sell the news or whatever the case may be, or maybe just Wall Street didn't like it. I don't know, whatever the, the result could be. That's my main target, honestly, which would be still bearish, because we can get a bounce. Yeah, of course we can, crash back down, get a bounce from this area, come back up like this. But we'd probably turn this back into a resistance and ultimately start making our way back down all the way to the low-ish, two teens to very low 200s. And that level better damn hold, because like I said, if it doesn't, we're probably coming back to this green line, or at the very least the 170s. The green line's closer to the 150s, 160s. So yeah, all in all, what I'm saying now is just Tesla is in a very peculiar position, right? This is just a very tough position to be in for the stock, because just strictly off technicals, it's bearish. It's bearish. I'm sorry. It is what it is. It's bearish. We close below the channel. The linear chart is even more bearish, actually. Go over to the weekly time frame, right? We're pretty much right at the trend line, the multi-year trend line. So if we go any lower than this, and we close a weekly candle below pretty much the low of, or the close of today, we're closing back under the weekly trend line. That'll be very, very bearish in my opinion, because I am going to view these past 2 weeks as nothing but a massive false breakouts, which, like I said, I don't usually expect them to happen until proven otherwise. Closing below, especially if we close in the low 200s or low 230s or even the 220s, God forbid, tomorrow, this would be very bearish. This would be extremely concerning, in my opinion, of course, just my opinion, could be wrong. But this would essentially mean that Tesla will most likely snapshot back in the opposite direction, because again, like I always say, whenever you get false breakouts or breakdowns, you usually snapshot in the opposite direction pretty aggressively and pretty quickly. So we'll see. we'll see how it plays out. We'll see what this ends up being. Yeah, again, it's pretty much a mini earnings. At this point, it's anyone's guess. You know, the overall levels to look out for. On the bright side, actually, let's talk about the upside levels, because, you know, there is a chance that we gap up back into the channel and we move up even higher. That's always a possibility. So the move up would be if we do get a gap up back into like the low 240s. I think honestly moving back up to pretty much the top of the range of this options flow, which is currently sitting at low 250s, is perfect, which is exactly where that trend line is pretty much tomorrow, almost to perfection. So that's a possibility. Keep that in mind. That is a possibility. I don't think it's the more likely possibility, but I don't think it's I don't think the possibility of that is a lot less either. Again, I'm about 60-40, 60% bearish. We move down to 200s, 220s roughly, 230s, and 40% bullish that we move up higher to about the 250s again. But again, strictly off technicals, closing down below, that is a sign of weakness. We did officially close lower than any of these candles for the past like 2 weeks. This trading range that we had in for the past week right here. Remember this trading range right here that I was talking about? If we go to the, let's say 1 hour, right? This trading range here, you know, was essentially a, you know, pretty much a bear flag. Actually, no, it wasn't this one. It was, I think it was like this. Wait, hold on. So we have, okay, there's actually a couple more things I'll talk about in the 1 hour. I think it's a little more obvious here, I guess, but essentially what I'm trying to say is the fact that we had this trading range. We couldn't close above, what is this, about 250, right? We couldn't close candles above 250 on the daily, but we also weren't closing candles below pretty much 240 on the daily, right? We were kind of, you know, zigzagging in between this range. Today, we officially closed below that range. That's also a sign of weakness. So there's a lot of signs of weakness coming up, and the only thing that can save Tesla here, in my opinion, is a gap up post Robotaxi event, which is a possibility. I'm not excluding that. I don't think that's impossible. That is, especially with Tesla, a realistic possibility. But it is kind of gambling. Like, you are pretty much gambling on that. That is a high gamble. It's, in my opinion, a high risk gamble. That's why I'm not playing it. I'd rather buy higher, but on better confirmation. This, to me right now, it's not good confirmation. In fact, it's, if anything, bearish confirmation. So, you know, just there's a lot of signs right now that I'm just, in terms of just entering a trade and feeling confident about it, for the long side, I'm not seeing those right now. I'm just not seeing those signs right now. My opinion, of course. The next thing to look at is going to be on the 1 hour chart. The 1 hour chart, we're pretty much in this descending channel, right? We were in a massive ascending channel on the daily, which we just broke out of, right? These green lines, of course. Well, the 1 hour, we're in a descending channel, right? And, well, just like it sounds like, a descending channel, what does it do? Well, it descends while you're in it, right? Pretty simple stuff. And that's exactly what we're doing so far while we're inside this channel. And, well, again, until we break out of it, I assume we'll continue descending. And that's kind of the next target, which, again, if it lines up pretty well and we come back down to the bottom of this channel as early as tomorrow, right? At some point tomorrow, well, guess what? That's going to be the bottom of the channel, which is going to be where? Pretty much that mid to low 200s, 220s, exactly where the options chain is currently expecting it to go to, exactly where that 0.5 Fibonacci is, and pretty much exactly more or less where that 100 EMA is as well. So let's see. Massive unknowns right here. It is a coin flip, in my opinion, leaning slightly bearish, but not overwhelmingly at all, you know, just slightly. And again, that's why I'm out of the trade. I don't have any confidence in either direction. I'm not super convinced one way or the other. That's why I'm personally out of the trade. Maybe I'll buy something small, just, you know, aftermarket, just to have something for upside exposure on my main accounts. I'm not sure yet. But the last thing I want to mention is this. I'm going to remove this for now, just so it's a little more clear. We're setting up a descending triangle, right? Descending triangle is a bearish triangle. In case you don't know what it looks like, this is what a descending triangle looks like, right? Descending triangle, downtrend, zigzag, lower highs, equal lows, breakdown, retest, continue. Pretty simple stuff, right? And that's kind of what we might be doing here. There's a chance that what we do is we do make our way lower, we do break down, and then we come back up, you know, at some point, come back up, retest, and make our way even lower, right? Something like that, for instance, right? That is a possibility as well. And that's kind of what I'll be eyeballing as well. Because again, a descending triangle is bearish, just like that ascending triangle is bullish, which is what Tesla had not too long ago when it was trading back in this range. Remember, it had this situation happen here. I'm going to remove this. Maybe I won't. Let me remove some. It's getting a little messy. I want to remove the top end of this thing for now because it's just getting too many lines, too messy. I don't like it. So remember when Tesla was trading before this breakout had, it constantly got rejected at these, you know, 232 to 235 level, but it kept making higher lows. Every time it got rejected, it kept making higher lows. That's an ascending triangle. Literally the opposite of what we are in right now on the smaller time frame, or yeah, smaller time frame on the 1 hour. Same idea. You're constantly making equal highs, but higher lows, and then you ultimately break out. It's a bullish pattern. Obviously, a descending triangle. Well, it's it's the opposite. So we'll see how it plays out. Again, good luck to anyone playing it. I'm not playing it personally. I have my long-term account. Whatever happens, happens. If it does rally, I'm still making money on it. If it does crash, I'll be ready to buy the dip. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But I'm going to go in with a nice clean mind, no bias whatsoever. And I'm just going to enjoy the event. And whatever happens post-event, it happens. I'll be ready either way. Because if it gaps up, there's still plenty of things to trade. There's still ways to trade Tesla. It doesn't mean that this is the last time you can ever buy Tesla. And, there's always ways to trade it. Always an opportunity if you know where to look. So all that being said, thank you so much for watching. See you for the next one. Peace.